कुमार स्वामी नायक गोम्बो लिबू लटोका रेडियो फीजी 2 में पुराना गाना लगे हमें बहुत अच्छा लगे।
रेडियो फीजी 2 देश की धड़कन।
Good evening, Fiji. In this bulletin, NFP leader referred to FICAC. Fiji Airways denies discrimination and victimization. And 35 offenders find permanent work.
From the studios of FBC Suva, Jackie Spate.
The Registrar of Political Parties says he was pressured by National Federation Party leader Professor Biman Prasad's legal counsel not to release any statement in relation to him being referred to FICAC. This is in relation to the donations made by Professor Prasad to the NFP in 2016 and 2017, which exceeded the maximum amount allowed by law for any person in a year. In the statement, Saneem had said that based on the information provided by Prasad and the NFP, the total donation ascertained so far amounts to $28,252. Saneem says there was an attempt to influence the registrar from carrying out his responsibilities. Pranita Prakash has more.
Registrar of Political Parties Mohammad Saneem says the conduct of solicitor A.K. Singh lawyers engaged by Professor Biman Prasad is questionable. Saneem says the notification to Professor Prasad was not to seek any responses but to merely notify him of the findings of the registrar and the necessary actions taken by them thereafter.
Instead of producing a substantive reply, Mr. Narayan has demanded that the registrar seeks further clarifications from his firm to avoid both embarrassment, to avoid embarrassment and legal consequences of any retraction of your proposed complaint to FICAC, unquote. Further, after being advised that the matter had already been referred to FICAC, Mr. Narayan, through one Elizabeth Saverio, threatened the registrar, I quote, we still caution you regarding any media releases or other action you take without verification from us, unquote. All this time, no verification has yet been provided, if there was any.
Saneem says the statement issued earlier is consistent with every other time the party has referred a party or person for purportedly breaching a provision of the Political Parties Act 2013.
It is always noted by the registrar, in light of his responsibilities under the statutory role, that the referral to FICAC of a probable breach is afterwards determined by FICAC whether it intends to prosecute or not. The registrar has always been transparent about the activities of the registrar. And in the event the registrar becomes aware that a breach is no longer committed or was not committed, the registrar has acted to quickly withdraw the complaints, and we have made public statement of that information as well.
Saneem says this matter will not be taken lightly. He adds, should the matter proceed any further, he will consider legal advice. Saneem is expected to hold another press conference on Monday. Pranita Prakash, FBC News.
Meanwhile, late this afternoon, Professor Biman Prasad in a statement said the NFP's parliamentarians refused to accept increases in parliamentary allowances, and this was given to the NFP Relief and Welfare Fund. Prasad says they also asked the Parliament Secretariat to divert a portion of their salaries to the fund's bank account. The NFP leader says in 2016, $2,352 came to that account from his salary. In 2017, the amount was $18,816. He says Prem Singh also contributed to the account from his salary and allowances. According to Prasad, the fund made donations exceeding $27,000 between 2016 and 2017, purely from the contributions of salaries and allowances. He says the Parliament Secretariat did not process any payments into that fund until the end of 2016. According to Prasad, people needed support immediately, so he advanced personal funds, and NFP also agreed to advance party funds for the purpose of the Relief and Welfare Fund to be reconciled later. Fiji Airways today denied allegations of discrimination and victimization raised by the Flight Attendants Union during a recruitment drive last week. Union President Josiah McGowan also questioned the rationale of hiring new staff when just 4 months ago, more than 400 cabin crew were terminated after the airline said there was no work available. Felipe Naitasiri has more.
In a statement, Fiji Airways said it would not be appropriate for them to comment on matters currently before the Employment Relations Tribunal. However, they are responding directly to the Flight Attendants Union in respect to the issues raised. A spokesperson said the company is following a fair, transparent, rigorous and merit-based recruitment process whereby all applicants are treated equally and assessed according to objective selection criteria. They further stated that Fiji Airways would like to clarify that all former employees are welcome to apply for the limited number of cabin crew positions which were recently advertised. The airline also said the first group of cabin crew being considered for recruitment are all former Fiji Airways workers. Meanwhile, Union President Josiah McGowan approached Prime Minister Vorenge Bainimarama in Ba regarding the terminations following the pandemic shutdowns. However, Bainimarama says that he is aware of the issues regarding Fiji Airways and the terminated cabin crew, but he will leave the matter with the management and board. Philip Naikaso, FBC News.
The supply of nutritious, labour-intensive food was at risk of being interrupted during the period of COVID-19 restrictions earlier this year. Health Minister Dr. Ifiremi Wangainambete, during the World Food Day celebration in Nausori, said today the pandemic exposed the vulnerability of the food systems with potential impact on food security. Josiah Nanunga reports a new policy on food and nutrition security has been sent to Cabinet for approval in an effort to address the issue.
The Health Minister says food and nutrition insecurity has hindered socio-economic progress that requires a multi-pronged strategy to curb the issue.
We're working across policy areas by adopting an integrated and cross-policy approach to address food and nutrition insecurity. And the Government of Fiji, through the Fiji Policy and Food Nutrition Security and its cascading plan of action, will address the promotion and sustenance of household food and nutrition security.
He adds the Agriculture Show is a powerful advocacy platform to mitigate the impacts of the pandemic and climate change.
So for this year's World Food Day celebration, let us resolve to give our farmers and our communities a helping hand so we can have healthier agricultural systems, adequate food supplies and more forests to mitigate the effect of climate change.
Named as Best Rice Farmer of the Year, Vicky Narayan believes that there are more opportunities to be tapped in this multi-million-dollar sector.
They gave me the seeds, so I start planting rice from 2015 till today. It's a good business. It's a good business to start off.
Meanwhile, the 2020 Central and Eastern Division Agriculture Show concluded this afternoon, and similar show will roll out in the Northern and Western Division over the next 2 weeks. Josiah Nanunga, FBC News.
35 offenders have found permanent jobs since the inception of the Yellow Ribbon Employment Expo in 2018. The Fiji Correction Services is monitoring the progress of these offenders because many of them face social and economic challenges when out in the community. Kelly Vavala reports.
Major businesses have jumped on board to offer employment opportunities to inmates with skills and talent.
Some of our offenders, they come into prisons with very useful skills in the job market. All those offenders that are within 12 months from their date of discharge, they identified. We got all their skills and we prepare their CVs.
Staff Officer Waisale Songonakalo says they cannot do it alone and need support from the stakeholders.
They have completed their term and walked back into the society. There are so many challenges, social challenges, economical challenges. So in order for them to be stable in our society, to become law-abiding citizens, all these challenges must be met. And our expectation is for the members of the community to come on board and support the Fiji Corrections in our drive.
The Correction Service will be having its Yellow Ribbon Employment Expo on the 30th of this month in hopes of getting more businesses on board.
It is about showcasing and marketing the inmate skills sets to prospective employers, and it is about securing of job placements and full-time employment of inmates while still they are serving their sentences.
The FCS says giving inmates a second chance to become law-abiding citizens will help majority of them stay on the right track and earn an honest living. Kelly Vadala, FBC News.
Up ahead, government prepares upcoming generation. And sales rise for food processors.
मैं तो दिल्ली में रहता हूँ और रेडियो फीजी रेडियो फीजी रोज सुनता हूँ.
रेडियो फीजी 2 देश की धड़कन.
Climate change has made it clear that no communities are immune to natural disasters, and the COVID-19 pandemic has made that more obvious, says National Disaster Management Minister Naitasiri Ratu. His ministry, through the Disaster Management Office, is committed to creating a strong culture of disaster risk reduction to protect Fijians.
Fiji, being on the front line of a changing climate, has experienced firsthand the increasing intensity of tropical cyclones.
Fijians are no strange to disasters. This year, our ability to manage crisis was put to the absolute test. Cyclone Harold struck us in the middle of Fiji's short-lived coronavirus outbreak. In those crucial weeks, any single misstep by our disaster response officials could have spelled a catastrophe of the highest order, but that did not happen.
Sri Ratu says vital information must be readily available before a disaster strikes. United Nations Office for Disaster Risk Reduction representative Andrew McElroy says they are also committed to enhancing disaster risk reduction efforts in Fiji.
It's set to be an era of escalating disaster and climate risk, with disasters occurring more intensely and more unpredictably, and potentially having greater negative impact.
The National Disaster Management Office will soon begin an awareness campaign as Fiji's cyclone season begins next month. Tantulala, FBC News.
The government is preparing the emerging generation by supporting their initiative and hard work. Speaking during the handing over of the Youth Farm Initiative grants, Prime Minister Bainimarama said they're helping young Fijians sustain themselves in trying times. Bainimarama says the recipients will put land to use and earn income through the sale of the crops they grow. He adds they will also learn how to run a business and may decide that farming the land is the life they want.
It is a great cooperative venture because the Matangali set aside land for the young people, and the government provides grants for equipment, tools, seedlings, water tanks, fencing materials, and other necessities.
The lawyer representing Free Soul Real Estate Development Limited said today the Department of Environment needs to get its house in order if they want people to comply. Free Soul is charged with 1 count of undertaking unauthorized development and a failure to comply with the prohibition notice. Apinisa Wangarundovu reports.
In the Suva High Court this morning, it was alleged that Free Soul carried out development on dry land at Wadea on Malolo Island without an approved environmental impact assessment report. The state submitted yesterday they were not denying the fact that employees sent to inspect the site were not designated officers at the time. However, the department stated they were acting in good faith and for the interest of the public. The defense today filed submission stating all inspectors do not have legitimate rights to make reports or take photos of the site in question, and if the state is using information that was obtained unlawfully. The judge says it seems the Department of Environment was acting in good faith, but she will deliver her ruling on the submissions later this month. The trial will begin on the 17th of November. Apinisa Wangarundovu, FBC News.
Food Processors Fiji Limited has recorded an increase in sales despite the current economic situation due to the pandemic. The manufacturing company distributes processed food and vegetables locally and internationally and has recorded an increase of about 28% in sales when compared to last year. Venena Rakautonga has more.
The company has had a promising year so far with export sales of 16% above year to date.
We have also cleared backlog liabilities of approximately $329,000 and disposed surplus assets such as Netco building and Savsavu property, and are now in process of clearing our debts with Fiji Investment Corporation Limited of $4.1 million.
Deputy Board Chair Ranil Mudlia says they are committed to steering the company in the right direction.
Despite COVID-19 pandemic,
We have brought our operations to normalcy by implementing new post-COVID-19 strategies. Our performance is a testament to COVID-19 resilience, and food processors is going to forge ahead and do better.
Today, the state-owned company received a truck worth $96,000 from the government. Minister for Economy Ayaz Syed Qayyum commended the company for boosting export growth.
Food processors obviously has been through a number of different, I suppose, processes itself, has gone through a periods itself in terms of where they were at one point in time it was not doing as well, the machinery was out of date. There's obviously, we saw an opportunity to be able to invest in food processors.
Food processors have been in operation for over 35 years and continues to develop products using local fruits and vegetables. Verina Rakautonga, FBC News.
32 senior officers of the Republic of the Fiji Military Forces and the Fiji Police Force were yesterday recognized for their efforts in the development of the nation. Speaking at the Fiji 50th Independence Anniversary Commemorative Medal Investiture Ceremony, President Major General retired Chiochi Konrote commended the efforts by the officers to uphold the rule of law. Sainiani Boyla reports.
President Konrote saluted the 16 senior military officers and 16 senior police officers for job well done in the last 50 years.
Now, as final guarantors of peace and security and the maintenance of law and order within our beloved nation, I would like to congratulate you for the award, commend and thank you also for the manner in which you and your predecessors, some of whom are here with us today, and some who have received the awards over the past week, you have remained resolute and steadfast in supporting government and our people to this historical and important milestone since independence.
College of Honor Chairperson Dr. Akanisi Kenrayate says over 700 applications were received, which were scrutinized before taken to the President for approval.
We have nominated about over 50 female, altogether. And also you'll find that we are also recognizing the people who have prepared human resource in the universities, in the tertiary institutions, who are now serving, in various government ministries or various NGOs.
The President and his team will be going to the West and the Northern Division to present the medals to serving citizens. Sainiani Mboila, FBC News.
And Karoy joins us now with the latest in business.
Thanks, Jackie. Coming up after the break, Mobil Oil commissions new petrol tank. And in growing Fiji, Ministry seeks Navua Market site. Stay with us.
Pula nadang go apros lang kerse, go erkraki. Do televisi na barong na Radio Fiji 1 nandomo ibit.
Radio Fiji 1 nandomo ibit.
Mobil Oil Fiji commissioned its largest petrol tank at the Suva terminal yesterday. The tank stores premium unleaded petrol that will help the company meet the growing fuel demand. Commissioning the pulp tank, Minister for Trade Fayaz Koya said despite TC Herald and COVID-19, Mobil remained focused on safety, supplying fuel to service stations and essential businesses. Mobil has been operating in Fiji for more than 100 years.
Due to the pandemic, investment plans of some businesses may have been on hold, but with respect to Mobil, they've continued to invest. It's reassuring to see Mobil continuing to invest in its presence in Fiji. And earlier this year, ladies and gentlemen, Mobil Oil Fiji has actually supported various government initiatives to keep Fijians safe during the pandemic.
Surging demand globally for COVID-19 tests has boosted third-quarter revenue for Swiss drug company Roche's diagnostics business. This has helped them offset declining drug sales and keep the group on track to meet 2020 targets.
Sales of COVID tests are giving Roche a boost. The pharmaceutical giant's diagnostics division saw third-quarter sales jump by almost a fifth to $4 billion. That was despite a strong Swiss franc sapping the firm's revenue in overseas markets. The company says it's seen a rise in demand for antigen tests priced at $5 or $6. That as the more accurate PCR tests remain in short supply. The gain from tests helped offset a 4% slide in sales at Roche's drugs division, usually the firm's big earner. Among the negatives was a drop in the number of Chinese people seeking hospital treatment amid lockdowns. Overall, the numbers were good enough to mean the firm is sticking to its targets for 2020. Investors, though, seemed focused on the negatives. On a down day for markets Thursday, Roche shares were off more than 3% by lunchtime.
Sharon from HFC Bank joins us now with the latest from the trading markets.
The Australian dollar is set for its worst weekly performance since late September, as traders hoped the country's central bank would ease monetary policy next month. It fell by nearly 1% following a speech by Reserve Bank of Australia Governor Philip Lowe, who signalled further easing was imminent. On the other hand, New Zealand dollar was flat, stuck in a small range ahead of a general election on Saturday, where Prime Minister Jacinda Ardern is widely expected to win. The New Zealand Central Bank is also actively considering negative interest rates to support jobs and growth and to stabilize its currency. Meanwhile, the US dollar was headed for its best week of the month, capitalizing on nervous investors seeking safety. The rise in US weekly jobless claims increased concerns that the pandemic is causing lasting damage to the labor market. But perhaps the most horrifying trouble of all is the second wave of the coronavirus that could trigger more intense lockdown, causing more damage to the global economy. And that's all from your HFC Bank for this week. Vinaka.
Today's local exchange rates, as said early this morning, the Sangamoli was pegged lower against most of the currencies we cover. However, it rose against the two we trade in the most, the Aussie and Kiwi dollars. And on to the commodities market, it was a mixed day. Oil was down slightly at just below $41 per barrel. Gold rose to $10 to $1,907 per ounce. And silver closed up at $24.29 per ounce. Discussions have started with different agencies to find suitable land for a market in Navua. Local Government Minister Pramila Kumar says Navua doesn't have a proper market and neither does it have a proper town scheme. Kumar says the number of market vendors in Navua has increased substantially in the past few years and the current site is no longer sufficient. The minister had recently met with the vendors who raised their concerns.
There is a piece of land along the riverbank that has been given away to a private investor. That has become a major concern for us because we could have utilized that place for the vendors, but now we can't. And my ministry will be talking to Lands Department to see what can be done.
And that's it from Business Tonight. Jamie joins you next with the latest in sports.
Good evening. Ahead in sports, new champion to be crowned at Savu Savu Sevens. And intense competition expected at Suva Volleyball meet. This and more coming up.
Bula FM number 2 NSR.
Bula FM number 2 NSR.
A new champion will be crowned at the 13th Fiji Beta Savu Savu Sevens. 2019 winners Natandra Rugby Club did not register for this year's tournament, leaving the main prize up for grabs for the other competing teams. Tale Nanukula has more.
Last year's runners-up, Uluina Kaubabas, will be vouching for the top honor, but it won't be easy with big names like Tampantamu also participating in the tournament.
Big guns like Sike Izibai Tampantamu. We have cup runners-up for the Fiji Beta Mari Sevens, Police White and also Police Blue. We have the likes of Uluina Kaubabas, who were cup runners-up last year. We have newcomers, FDS Barbarians Brothers.
Going into its second year of partnership, the Fijian Broadcasting Corporation has stepped in to support grassroots rugby.
The VCTV is very proud to be associated with the Navua Rugby Sevens for the Fiji Beta Savu Savu Sevens. We believe that it's very vital for the development of grassroots rugby and for nation building as well.
The 13th Fiji Beta Savu Savu Sevens will kick off next Thursday and runs through until Saturday at Ratunga Nilo Park. Tale Materkula, FBC Sports.
The Ramsami Suva side believe going in with the right mindset will be key if they want another win over Naitasiri tomorrow. Despite a good lead on the Skipper Cup points table, the capital side is adamant on winning all its remaining matches, which would ensure a home semi-final. Caroline Tavi has more.
Suva is aware Naitasiri will be out to avenge its 6-15 loss to the capital side in round 5 of the Skipper Cup competition.
Naitasiri is going to really avenge the loss here at the ANZ Stadium, and after we've watched the game against Nanukula and Namosi, I think they have some goods to deliver.
As a Suva team, we're expecting a very tough Naitasiri team, especially going into the second round, as every team has rectified their mistakes and have known what players to put during on a match.
Suva will be banking on its experienced forwards, which is one of the side's telling factor.
I think it will be a battle of the forwards. We've got a very good set of forwards that we're going down. We've loaded our team, and I think it will be a really good match against them on Saturday.
We watched Naitasiri's last game against Nanukula. They were very good on the set piece, and we're working on that this week.
Naitasiri will host Suva at Roche Park in Namosi tomorrow at 3 p.m. Carleni Tavi, FBC Sports.
Lautoka will fight hard to maintain its place in the Skipper Cup competition. The Maroons are currently in 6th place with 18 points and will need to win their remaining 3 matches to avoid relegation. Carleni Tavi reports.
Lautoka has upped the ante in terms of preparation.
The boys are high spirits. They know the task at hand. They will give their all come game day. Depending on the situation, the coaching staff will execute the game plan.
Having won 4 matches out of 10, Lautoka Rugby Union officials are aware of the uphill battle ahead for the remaining rounds of the Skipper Cup.
Lautoka at this moment are very confident and building up for the next few games available at the moment. Trying our best to be competitive for these few Skipper games left.
Currently now, we are looking at securing our spot at our standing at the Skipper competition, because we want to secure our spot for next season also. So this is our main target.
Lautoka will face Namosi at Churchill Park in Lautoka at 3 p.m. tomorrow. Carlini Tavi, FBC Sports.
The Nanukula rugby side is raring to take the field against Rawa in the Vodafone Vanua Cup Challenge semi-final tomorrow. The Talatala Chochi Rinakama coach team will be looking to create history by qualifying for the Skipper Cup competition. Felipe Naikaso caught up with the team in Rawa and files this report.
Relaxed and ready for tomorrow's crucial match, the Nanukula team will be out to make the Vanua of Rawa proud.
We're really looking forward for this game this week. All the boys are really working hard for the. We really take this match as a real final for us.
The extra break also gave them more time to fine-tune certain areas before their showdown with Rawa.
Our team is it's okay for to tackle Rawa down on the semi-finals in Navua.
The last time the two sides played was a few years back during the Rawa Provincial Games. However, the home side is confident of a good outing.
This week we're really working hard on our scrum. We're watching Rawa's game for the last couple of few weeks. They are good on their scrum and their forwards are really big. So that's why we're working our scrum this week.
Nanukula will host Rawa at Gavi Park in Navua at 3 p.m. tomorrow. Felipe Naikaso, FBC Sports.
The Suva Volleyball Association anticipates intense competition in the knockout stage of its weekly games tomorrow. Teams will be vying for the top 4 spots to secure a place in the Fiji Volleyball Club Championship to be held at the end of the month. Association Commissioner Ilesa Raketekete says competition is very close and only the best prepared teams will come out on top.
We are going to decide that next week when we have our knockout competition. So our top 4
clubs may be representing the association in that tournament.
Now to play of the day, and we take a look at some fine offloads and brilliant individual efforts from the clash between Wellington against Otago in the Mitre 10 Cup.
Riley, the hooker, got his offload to Renata, and Trent Renata, the veteran player, is there. Immediately off to Garden Basham. Now Herson, where's Herson? Looking to get a wide to Karifi, and even further it goes to... And Nariki gets it away. Here's Corduroy running hard into a gap, and he can get up and go again. Now it's Parapara. Oh, individual try.
That's it from sports tonight. In new media, Instagram will start hiding potentially offensive comments. Details after the break.
Bola FM number 2 NSR.
Bola FM number 2 NSR.
In new media tonight, Instagram says it will start automatically hiding potentially offensive comments on the app.
It's getting a bit harder to troll social media these days. Instagram says it started testing a feature that hides comments similar to others that have been reported. According to a company press release, you can tap View Hidden Comments to see the comments. Comments that automatically violate community guidelines will continue to be automatically removed. Instagram is also expanding comment warnings when people repeatedly attempt to post potentially offensive comments. It's an effort to reduce negative interactions as part of National Bullying Prevention Month. According to a study by equality group Plan International, 1 in 5 girls and young women has abandoned or cut down her use of social media after 60% say they have experienced harassment.
And whether most of Fiji saw overcast skies and showers today, there is still a slight danger of localized flash floods in some areas. A quick look at the weather map. In the west, a lot of people were glad to see rain today after a generally dry spell. Eastwards from Pacific Harbour to Suva, overcast skies and showers mark the day with heavy rainfall in some areas. And up north, a few cloudy patches, light showers and some clearing expected overnight. At sea, southeast winds 15 to 20 knots with moderate to rough seas. Now for the tides, the next low tide is at 13 minutes after midnight, followed by high tide at 6:23 a.m. Sunrise is at 5:35. Now for tomorrow, expect cloudy periods with some showers over the eastern and interior of the larger islands. Some clearing in the north and the west. And our further outlook, we're looking on to Sunday. Expect cloudy periods with brief afternoon or evening showers and the chance of isolated thunderstorms. In Fijian Pulse, we asked, do you think Lautoka can make a comeback in the Skipper Cup competition?
Lautoka is standing right now. Well, they have 3 matches to win. If they win all the 3 matches, then probably they can make it to the top 8. So otherwise, the chances is they won't make it. I think so. So they have to win the 3 matches so that they can come to the Skipper Cup.
They will try their best to avoid relegation and maintain the spot in the Skipper Cup. All teams will be fighting to maintain their place.
It will depend on their fitness and how well they play in the next 3 rounds.
And in the world of the weird and the wonderful, road bridges have been made to save the rarest mammals on the planet, as there are only 30 of these creatures left in the world.
This is the Hainan gibbon ape, and its species is on the brink of extinction. There are just 30 left in the wild, on a single island in the South China Sea, meaning it's the rarest mammal on the entire planet. But now experts say there may be hope for the creatures, and all it takes is some rope. These rope bridges were attached to the canopies of trees, some 23 to 33 feet off the ground, and they allow the gibbons to travel between the trees without having to go to the ground, an activity that could not only be dangerous for the near-extinct apes, but also unnatural, as the species has never been observed using the ground for travel. However, despite being a possibly easier form of transportation for the creatures, researchers were only able to film females and their children using the rope bridges. Adult males preferred to jump from canopy to canopy instead. In fact, as male children reached adulthood over the 15-month documentation period, they followed their older male contemporaries and began jumping instead of using the bridges. Despite the program's success, experts say this is only a short-term solution, and restoration of rainforests should be our primary avenue for conservation.
Recapping the main stories for tonight, NFP leader refer to FICAC. Fiji Airways denies discrimination and victimisation, and 35 offenders find permanent work. Now for these stories and others, tune in daily to our sister radio station Gold FM. Our poll question this week we're asking, do you think Fijians have shown resilience in the face of COVID-19? Visit our FBC website to answer. And on to our shot of the day and last one for the week. And this was captured in Wainiavu Namosi by the very talented Toma Drivanavulao. And you can send us newsworthy pictures to email fbcnews@fbc.com.fj, via Facebook page FBC News and our Twitter page at FBC_news. That's your news for tonight. Until tomorrow, from the team and I, have a safe and enjoyable weekend. Ni modamanda.
Baik tu dia jadi beratau रेडियो फिजी बहुत रेडियो फिजी रोज सुनता हूँ।
रेडियो फिजी 2 देश की धड़कन।